Adele from Get Gorgeous. Avoid burnout and improve your well-being. We're all terrified of burnout. I, more than anyone, I've seen it in my life. But before I start talking about my story, let me just describe some of the facts. The World Health Organization believes that by 2020, our biggest health concern is going to be burnout and stress. 16,000 copies of emails are sent a day in the world. That's an amazing amount. It's the complete works of Shakespeare sent in one day. All that demand on your time, that screaming attention on your time. And what a buzz! What a buzz and a hit of endorphins, that satisfaction we get from answering an email. It is a drug. It is an addiction. I do it all the time. I have to be really careful and make sure that I do my emails at certain times of the day. But it's the chronic stress that leads to burnout. It's the long-term stress. This blog is going to assist you to understand burnout, what to look out for. And of course, it's going to be positive with lots of tips and strategies for you to avoid stress and burnout. Now, my own stress story has had lots of ups and downs. What about yours? I'd love to know about yours. I'm very curious. Mine started in London many years ago. I was heavily pregnant and I had a fantastic flat with a great housemate, but it was busy and it was noisy and I was working in a very stressful environment. And one morning in West London, Hammersmith, I arrived at work. My desk was clear, because I always clear my desk. I worked hard the day before to make sure my desk was clear. And I arrived bright and early and the phone rang. Not a problem, I can answer the phone. And then something major happened. Something that took me out of the office not to return for over a week. Do you know what it was? The mail landed on my desk. Two things at once that I can multitask. But at that stage in my life, I couldn't. Answering the phone and picking up the mail and opening it was too much for me. I crashed big style. It was the accumulation of work. My work life had been very busy for a number of years. But not only that, it was the cyclical family ancestral stress that had been going on, not just with my mum, but also with my gran. I'd followed a line of stress. And then a small peak, a small event in life can be what tips you over the edge, that leads to the crash, or even worse, burnout. So what event do you remember in your past? What was your final straw? It could be something big, like a poorly child or an invalided parent or a holiday. That's what I was talking about last week. In my last blog, I was talking about peaks in stress. And that peak in stress can have a huge effect on your health and on your body. For instance, the left ventricle in your heart, the main pumping chamber around your heart, is affected by peak stress. It also increases your blood pressure. Now, when something is acute, peak stress, it's okay because you can get rid of it quickly. But chronic stress is a different matter. So what do you need to look out for with chronic stress? Well, you know that you're under chronic stress when small things become really, really hard to deal with. You might not recognize it in yourself, but you've definitely seen it in other friends, colleagues, even your social peer group. Things that look easy are insurmountable. The drama that coincides with something relatively easy. But there are other things to look out for, like weight fluctuation, either huge increase or decrease, excessive irritability, freneticism, being really frantic all day, and a small task being really hard to achieve. Other indicators are physical, like headaches, low-grade migraines. That can be a sign of chronic stress. Your body's ability to be unable to cope. You could have aches and pains, backaches, or maybe your immune system is affected. You keep getting the same cold. Your hormones are out of kilter. You might be crying or getting outraged at the slightest thing. Your energy might be really low, or you might be having stomach issues. They are all indicators of chronic stress. Chest pain is another. Having that inability to fight off anything that goes around the office. And stress is fascinating how it works on your body. It always interests me. Your body has the ability to remain in balance. Homeostasis, that's balance. And that's why when you lose weight, sometimes you'll plateau because your body is looking for balance all the time. So clever. But sometimes your body fights to keep you in balance. And that is created by allostasis. And that is when your body looks to encourage balance, your body's ability to create neutrality. And what happens when your body goes into stress, you shut down all the unnecessary functions in your body. So your blood glucose increases, which means your digestive system stops. Cortisol pours into your body, that stress hormone, and that's what depletes your immune system, because you can't fight off colds when cortisol and other stress hormones are in your body. It also affects your brain function. The physiological symptoms are exactly the same whether you're being chased by a wildebeest or you're being chased by your boss. It doesn't matter. Your body doesn't understand the difference. It only sees and responds to the hormones. So your brain will shut down. And research from Yale has found that the prefrontal cortex, the younger part of your brain, actually gets smaller under long-term stress. The front of the brain helps with your blood pressure, and it also works with your heart rate and cortisol. But it also affects your ability to plan, to concentrate, and to make great judgments. Constant stress depletes that ability. Also, it's going to affect your body, and interestingly, the psychology of stress, that's another fascinating subject. The more you worry about stress, the bigger the effect it's going to have. So how can you create this homeostasis? How can you bring balance back into your body? Well, my book goes into a huge amount of detail into this. And the way that you need to do it is to work on your long-term stress. And start right now. Don't wait for that peak. Don't wait for that instant reaction to something that's going to happen in the future, that crash, that burnout. Deal with it today. That's the best answer. And the first tip I would give you is set your intention. Set your intention to do something positive for yourself every day. Simply setting your intention is going to affect your psychology. It works. Reduce stress. That's easy said than done, Adele. Okay, well, go and get a phone app. Go and stand outside in the countryside. Make your feet ground into the grass and feel really centred and earthed. You can do things for your nutrition. Reducing your sugar is going to reduce your stress levels. I promise, it works. And maintaining a steady, even balance of nutrition through your day, eating your fats and proteins, will have an effect on your nervous system.